So I want to do a special video here on the subject of Morgellons disease and nanobots. If you can see, this study actually came out in 2012. In the back of the study, they show exhibits of color fibers that actually protrude out of the skin. Some individuals were able to get them to come out. Others just had a lot of lesions in their skin. If you look at the journal, this is the actual journal. Like I said, it came out in 2012, and it's entitled Morgellons Disease, a Chemical and Light Microscopic Study. And I just want to read the abstract there at the top of the page. It says, Morgellons disease is an emerging multi-system illness characterized by unexplained dermopathy and unusual skin-associated filament production. So it's said to be a dermopathy, and it's said to produce filament production, despite evidence demonstrating that an infectious process is involved and that lesions are self-inflicted. Many medical practitioners continue to claim that this illness is delusional. We present relevant clinical observations combined with chemical and light microscopic studies of material collected from 3 patients with Morgellons disease. Our study demonstrates that Morgellons disease is not delusional. Again, I want to read that again. It says, our study demonstrates that Morgellons disease is not delusional and that the skin lesions with unusual fibers are not self-inflicted or psychogenetics. We provide chemical and light microscopic and immunohistological evidence that filaments associated with this condition originate from human epithelial cells, supporting the hypothesis that the fibers are composed of keratin and are products of keratinocytes. So I want to underline here that the fibers originate from human epithelial cells, according to this study. And it supports the hypothesis that the fibers are composed of keratin or products of keratinocyte. Now, let's think that through. I mean, keratinocyte or keratin is actually the building block, the protein building block that is responsible for hair, the production of hair and healthy skin, and in animals, things like horns and fins and things of that nature. And I did a quick search on Amazon. And if you go on Amazon, type in keratin, you'll find that everything from shampoo to hair treatment to skin lotion, everything has keratin in it. That, you can find a lot of products, I'll say, that have keratin in it. Keratin is not something that should produce colored fibers. Keratin is the building block, protein building block for healthy skin and healthy hair. So according to this study, this is the reason why I don't believe this study. I don't believe this is accurate. I know it was put out by reputable schools and research committees, but if you look at the back of the study here, if you look at the figures, you have the production of these colored fibers. And the question I would ask is, how does the body produce colored fibers? It would have to be written in the DNA at some point in order for the body to produce that. Look at these fibers here. This is foreign. I would suggest the fact that these fibers are the production of nanobots. Nanobots that originate outside of the body. Nanobots that are basically artificial makeup, and they come from this. Now, I'm not going to say this because if I say this, they're going to pull this video down. But I think you can recognize what this is, right? I took a lot of pictures just recently of this activity going on in and around where I live. And they're constantly spraying this all over in the skies. If you were to look at the residue that originates from this particular activity, you would find that heavy metals, as well as what I believe nanobots, come from that. So I purchased a wireless digital microscope and I started looking at my own skin. Now, I started back in 2019. I want to show you these pictures. I've got quite a few pictures here, and some of you may not be able to watch this, but I want to kind of present this as evidence of the fact that this is not some sort of Morgellon disease, according to that study, but rather it's something else, something more, I believe, sinister, something more evil, because this is not normal to the human body. So if you look at the right side of the screen, you'll see here the date stamp and the time stamp when I took these pictures. These pictures, as I said earlier, they came from that microscope. That microscope can zoom in as far as 1,000 times the human eye. This is probably about 400 time zoom here. So as I scrolled through these pictures, I noticed a lot of fibers growing all over my skin. You can see the big fibers are actually hair follicles, but the little colored fibers are very foreign. I started documenting this back in 2019. And if you look again at the right-hand side of the screen, you see that little box there. You can see the date and the time. This is when I started documenting it. I want you to also notice the color and the condition of the skin around this time. You notice it looks normal because as the years go by, I documented 4 years of this stuff and a lot of other things that I did to try to get rid of it. Over time, my skin began to change, and I want to show you that. What I started noticing in and around February 28th, as you can see here on the screen, I started noticing the production of, looks like fungus. Fungus just started coating these fibers. It was almost as though there was a layer of fungus growing over the top of these fibers. Now, by this time, I was taking, bathing twice a day, trying to get this stuff off. It's very, very foreign. I started noticing it. I started taking a lot of pictures, started taking a lot of herbs. Now, doctors do prescribe medication, but I've heard a lot of bad things about the medication. So I started taking iodine, grapefruit seed extract, oil of oregano, as well as a lot of other herbs. And I also started eating very healthy, a lot of leafy green vegetables, a lot of fresh leafy green vegetables, because I wanted my blood to be more alkaline than acidic. I knew that if my blood was acidic, it would spawn the production of that. So you notice here my pH reading here. The first strip there is from in the morning. The second strip is from in the evening. And you can see that I was trying to maintain a 7.5 to 8 pH. Also started taking potassium iodine. And this helped. It did help some, but I continued documenting from March 3, 2019. I was documenting almost once or twice a month. I would document. Now, I have a lot of other pictures. I'm only showing some here. But you'll notice the fibers are still there. You'll notice these fibers, they're very, very small. They're not textile fibers. They don't seem to go away. You'll notice here, you can kind of see hair follicles. Hair follicles just seem to be very large, as you see there on the screen. But when you compare it to the fibers are really small. That leads me to believe that this is the result of nanobot assembly of some sort. I can't attribute it to much else. But notice the layer of fungus on my skin. At this point, this is 2021 now, what you're looking at, these pictures. So you've been looking at 2 years of the production of this. By 2021, you'll notice the change in the skin. You can kind of see, it looks like those fibers are embedded now, almost embedded in the skin there. That's a layer of fungus, I believe. So I really started aggressively bathing at this point. I started documenting and bathing a lot, I was using the borax here. I was using Epsom salt and also baking soda together with coconut oil. And I bathed twice a day. I documented even when I would bathe. Not only that, I took a series of other sort of home remedies to try to break up the production of this biofilm. And I had a small scar on it was very small. You could barely see it with the naked eye, but I took my microscope out and I started zooming in on that scar. And you can see here, I took pictures of it. You can see those fibers coming out of that scar. You see those fibers there? They're just poking right out. They're coming right out. So it's all over my body, all over. What really alarmed me is how it seemed like the fibers became embedded in the skin. That's not normal, guys. That's no spirochetal spawning of spirochetes in the body. That's not the result of some tick-borne illness or anything like that. It's not Lyme's disease. Friends, this is a foreign object. This is some sort of production of nanobot assembly in the body. Notice here. Notice these pictures. These are just recent here. This is 2023, November, just last month. You'll notice now the skin changes. You can see it looks like there's a lot of fibers under the skin there. You can see some of them still protruding out, but what really alarms me as I take pictures and continue to document is the fungal production, the body producing so much fungus, and that fungus seems to coat the fibers. It almost like it buries the fibers. The fibers don't really go in the skin per se, but they stay on top of the skin. And then finally, and this is what I wanted to kind of get to this point. This is November 22nd, 2023. You can see here a lot. It appears to be a lot. That's what it appears to be to me. As I was taking a lot of pictures, you can see it sort of embedded in the skin, but you can also see the skin has changed. The quality, it looks like the quality and texture of the skin has changed. I think that's more so from the fungal production than anything else, because I was eating a very healthy diet. But what I want to do here is I want to kind of show you 2023 and compare it with 2019. So you can see on the left side is 2019 skin condition. And then on the left side is 2023. Notice the difference in the skin. Again, you're looking at 4 years, a span of 4 years. On the left side is 2019. On the right side is 2023, maybe about a month and a half ago. But you can see there's not much difference. The only difference is the quality of the skin and a lot of production of fungus, a lot of fungus. So I started really aggressively bathing and documenting. Not only that, I started using the infrared sauna. I purchased an infrared sauna, home sauna, and I started spending 1 hour in the sauna, as well as bathing, as well as eating a lot of leafy green vegetables, and a lot of garlic. You know, garlic is antimicrobial, antifungal. It's antiviral. Garlic is very, very good for breaking up biofilm or breaking up the production of fungus. And again, documenting my pH, trying to maintain a healthy pH in the blood between 7 and 8 at least. And I started noticing when I was taking pictures, I started noticing what looks like the fungal breaking up. You can see here on the screen, it looks like the skin was breaking, or that fungal barrier seemed to be breaking loose, right? And it's a process, guys. I mean, this doesn't happen overnight. Whatever this stuff is really, really, really tough. In fact, I want to show you, this is my scalp. This is on my head. You can see the layer of fungus on the head, but it appears, now I don't know for sure, but it appears the fibers are under that as well. There is a blood-brain barrier, and according to research, according to what I've been able to discover, these nanobots can actually pass through the blood-brain barrier. And you can see here on the screen, the blood-brain barrier is on the right side, the bottom here. There are 4 stages to the blood-brain barrier. and this is it on the right side. So I continue to document, but I do want to say this, I do believe this is the reason why I'm targeted. I do believe that this is experimental. I do believe that this is happening to a lot of people, not just me. People that have taken the jab, people that were exposed to those sea trails. And this journal is incorrect. I don't buy this journal one bit, guys. I think it's a smokescreen.
This is the front of my pen. This amount of nanomaterial, if be able to maintain and sustain with regard to its deliverability and aerosolization, could in fact affect all of you. Look at this. Look at this. I'm carrying that material. Did you see it? Would I have to lug a giant weapon into the room? No, I wouldn't. And what if in fact I utilize some form of an unmanned aerial device or unmanned ground device as a delivery vehicle? Something like a drone or a bug. Could I do something with that? The answer is increasingly yes.
See, nanocells are real small. 1,000 times smaller than these dust particulates. You inhale it, they go to work, replicating, spreading like a virus, multiplying in exponentials. 6 months' time, I could have 100 million people. Converted ditch diggers, porn stars, and presidents. Not one would be the wiser. 100 million people who buy what I want them to buy and do pretty well anything I figure they ought to do.
Not a month goes by where I don't get a call at my institute by someone telling me that someone in the government implanted these things in their brain without them knowing. I'm not kidding.
We will have nanobots that we can feed into our brain that directly connect to the cloud.
We will connect wirelessly our neocortex to the cloud.
This will replace the internet. It'll become a brain net.
And the whole agenda is for humanity to have technology put inside the body, inside the brain. Nanotechnology will connect the human mind to the cloud.
In a way, the future shapes the now. Think of a world where all things are connected, a world with artificial intelligence everywhere. This is the vision that leads us to the cloud. The cloud has become a force of its own.
I want to now go to what I think this is what you're about to see. First of all, what you're about to see is going on in you right now, everywhere in you. We're going to let you look briefly at a cell made by the chemistry department at Harvard University, which was getting a little worried they wasn't getting chemistry majors. So they thought maybe they should do something jazzy. So they know that textbooks in chemistry, the chemistry always looks like circles and very boring. So they said, let's just actually make it like it is.
So this is basically what's going on in your cells right now. These are different fibers assembling, disassembling your cells. This is a molecular machine that walks around in your cells right now. It's called a kinesin and transports things. So for example, when things want to move around your cells, they don't just float around randomly. They actually actively moved around with little machines, little robots, nanobots that power your cells. What you see here is actually an amazing machine coming out of these little pores, which actually assembles other machines. This is like the factory floor of your cells. It's called a ribosome. It reads your RNA. RNA is, comes from the DNA, it's translated into RNA, and then it basically gets read out by these ribosomes, and they make new machines which then do other things. So there's all kinds of machines in your cells, things that rotate, things that walk, things that make other machines, things that read RNA, things that copy DNA, that open,
Let's look at this again while we talk about it. Can we look at it a second time? First of all, how fast is this in real life, all these things going on?
Oh, some of those things can happen quite fast, some kind of slow. And that's actually the interesting thing of a nanoscale. You can create all kinds of time scales depending on how many pieces have to act together. Some things can happen in nanoseconds, some in milliseconds, some in microseconds. They're actually, they make steps in the kind of millisecond range, I would say.
In the what?
Like milliseconds or thousandths of a second. And we a little
So
bit.
you can have this move.
So it's actually faster than that. It's much faster than that. So they made it kind of looking.
So this is a garbage man. That big wet sack is just cell garbage, and he's going to take it up this tube, or it is going to take it up.
Yeah, there are some machines that walk from the inside of the cell to the outside of the cell to kick garbage out, and others that go from the outside of the cell to the inside cell to bring the good stuff in. So they're specialized machines. They only walk in certain directions.
Is this? What about the color? That's pretend, right?
Yeah, that's those things are so small you really can't.
Because it would be very dark. Unless you had stage lights or something. Yeah. This is a copier.
Yeah, that's a copier, and that little wormy thing coming out is a new protein coming out, and here's a new protein has formed. Two of them linked together, and they make a new nanomachine that goes off to do its thing.
So this is the build. This is what plants have and animals have, and we have. We're built from these things.
Right. This is what's going on in your cells right now.
And so you look inside, and I think it would be fair to say that this seems extraordinarily complicated, extraordinarily sophisticated, extraordinarily, to use a careful word, miraculous.